Thank you for joining us today. We're going to talk today about the all things accounting integrations for Zuper. And so we're going to jump in here. Welcome. So you are in the right place if you know something about Zuper. You're either a customer or a partner, or maybe you're a prospective customer, but at least you know a little bit about Zuper. The fact that we're the most flexible and customizable field service management solution for fast growing businesses with field operations. So, you ultimately are looking for more information on how Zuper integrates with the accounting software. I'm Carmen Williams. I'm head of product marketing. I'm very excited to be your host today. And I am joined by Michael Israel. He is the veteran in the industry, over 50 years in the space of field services. He's been customer side, so like you, running a service business. He's been on the software side and the consultant side. So he has a wealth of information. He's worked with large and big companies across many different industries. So he's going to be able to dive deeply into the accounting integrations as we get into this. With us today, we also have the Zuper product and marketing team members. I have Krishna, product manager, and Sanjay heading up the integrations products, and Sriham, the expert on payments, as well as Shamali, who's done all of the hard work to get this webinar going. So shout out to Shamali, and as well Jeff, who helps with us on the product marketing team with all of this great content. So what's in store for you today? We're going to overview the Zuper and accounting app integrations. We're going to focus on these accounting software, including QuickBooks Online, Zoho Books, Sage Intacct, and Xero. We're going to dive into the digital payment software, Stripe and Square. As well, we're going to talk about this exciting consumer financing solution from Wisetack, and then we'll give a couple of quick customer examples, helpful resources, and open it up for Q&A. So just to recap, a reminder, field service your way. That is what Zuper's all about, and it's because of these no-code workflows that allow you to customize your implementation to exactly suit your business needs. It's about the 60 plus leading integrations that help you, again, create this most robust platform for field service management. And it's all about driving customer impact. We're customer obsessed. We want to make sure that you deliver an exceptional customer experience. And the 60 plus leading app integrations is why we're so leading the market with G2 leadership right now in the mid-market and SMB space. And we're going to now focus on the leading accounting app integrations today. So the Zuper accounting module that includes the products, parts, and services components and quotations, invoices, and payments, and how that corresponds with the app software, the all-in-ones, QuickBooks Online, Zoho Books, Xero, and Sage Intacct, as well as the payment, Stripe and Square, and the Wisetack consumer financing that relates to the quotations, invoices, and payments. So why do we care about all of this? Well, we get many different sizes of companies, large enterprise, but also fast-growing SMB and mid-market, which is probably what's most relevant or will be most relevant to you folks, because sometimes customers come to us with just an accounting app. Sometimes they come with their accounting app and a CRM, or maybe they're just exploring CRMs, and they're wondering how to fit in the field service management component. So if it's siloed, then there's overflowing software stack, silos, redundancy. There could be inefficient payment processing, inconsistent cash flow, missing invoices, growing accounts receivable. So if you're experiencing any of that pain, then having this integrated solution will help you with syncing the data, allowing more visibility, transparency, and management of those financial records. So automated and detailed invoices all in one place, payments on site, complete transparency, inventory integration, billing alerts and notifications. All of these fabulous benefits are what we're going to talk about and how you can make that happen. So I'm going to now, actually, Michael, I think you wanted to add something here.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Carmen. I just want to mention, for those of you that have been around for a while, you may remember the phrase of not too many years ago called the best of breed software, where people were encouraged to select the best of breed software applications for specific functions like field service and accounting and billing and CRM, et cetera, et cetera. What SaaS, software as a service, has enabled is the ability to quite easily integrate these applications into one solution. So what we like to say today is best of breed has evolved into best of breeds, plural, so that you now have the ability to have, for example, field service and CRM and finance accounting systems all integrated into one solution, so that your team is not bouncing back and forth from one silo to another, from one application to another, and the data is all consistent in one easy to access place as well. So think about that as we go forward with this webinar, that we're really talking about the ability to consolidate what used to be individual silos of data into one common view now. Thank you, Carmen.
Nice, very good. Well, I'm about to pass it off to you because you're going to dive deep now into these integrations.
Yep, thank you. So we will be talking about, as Carmen mentioned, we'll be talking about QuickBooks. In fact, we'll do a demo of QuickBooks, and then we'll talk briefly about Zoho Books, Sage, Intacct, and Xero as well. So you can go ahead and advance the slide, Carmen. So QuickBooks is the one application that we have many customers using and have an integration with Zuper to QuickBooks as a bi-directional integration. And through this integration, we are able to update parts and services information between Zuper and QuickBooks. We are able to create customers, for example, in Zuper, and have those customers automatically created then in QuickBooks. We're able to create quotations, same thing, automatically updated into QuickBooks. We can create invoices either in QuickBooks or in Zuper, and that data is shared in real time between the applications, so that there is one common view of an invoice, whether or not it's created in QuickBooks or in Zuper. Same thing with payments. We can process payments in QuickBooks, we can process payments in Zuper, and the invoice information is automatically updated on both platforms when a payment is processed. So we talked about, we have detailed invoice capabilities, that there is a bilateral sync, as we talked about in many instances. It is a single source of truth. So if an invoice is created in Zuper and then passed to QuickBooks, Zuper is the single source of truth, for example, about that particular invoice. All of these processes enable improved cash flow, especially when it comes to quotations and invoices, and it enables real-time inventory updates across both platforms. So I'd like to go into a brief demonstration now. In order to do that, Sanjay on our team is going to do the demonstration of the QuickBooks Online integration. Sanjay, let me turn it over to you and ask you to proceed.
Thank you, Michael.
You're welcome.
Hello, everyone. This is Sanjay from the Zuper platform team. So let me quickly share my screen and give you a brief demo of the QuickBooks integration. Great. So our quick demo will start from Zuper, and in the course of the demo, we'll be switching back to QuickBooks to see how the data gets pushed from Zuper to QuickBooks and vice versa. To give you a background, we are considering a landscaping business who offers landscaping services to their customers. So having that said, currently you are looking at a quote which is created in Zuper for the customer Tanya Triple. And the products and services involved in this quote are like the customer has opted for a goal plan for landscaping. So that is the service here. And the product that's involved is an anti-siphon valve. So we already have the code created and sent to the customer in Zuper. So let me quickly jump back to QuickBooks and head to the estimates. Yeah. So we can see the quote estimate created in QuickBooks here. And if I open the estimate, you can see all the information of the products and services, the customer along with their address, same as that in Zuper. And also please make a note of the current status of this estimate in QuickBooks, because we are going to jump back to Zuper now. And just a second. Mark this quote as accepted. Let us assume that the customer is happy with this quote and he accepts it. Yeah, so you can see the status of the quote getting changed to accepted here in Zuper. So let me quickly jump back to QuickBooks and perform a reload. As you can see, the status of the quote will get reflected in real time. So it is accepted here in QuickBooks too. Now, we will see the invoice creation process from the beginning. So once a quote has been accepted, it gets converted into an invoice. So we have all the information pre-filled. Yeah, so when we are good to go, I am clicking on save and I'm also sending it to the customer. This will also update the status of the invoice in Zuper. So it is sent. So the invoice is ready in Zuper. Now, let me quickly head back to the invoices in QuickBooks to see if this has reflected in QuickBooks too. Yes. So we have the invoice here. Similar to the codes, we have all the information same as in Zuper for the invoice as well. And now, after the invoice is created, the next step is to collect payments on the invoice. So for the purpose of this demo, let us collect the payment in two parts. So for the initial payment, I will collect it from Zuper. So I will choose the payment mode. And let us say initially I'm collecting $100 for this invoice. Yeah, so you can see the status of the invoice is partially paid, and you can also see the payment transaction here along with the mode of payment. Now, yeah, before I perform a reload, you can take a look at the total due amount now. And once I reload, you can see the payment has reflected here, the $100 which we collected from Zuper. Now, for the remaining due amount, let me collect it from QuickBooks. Yeah, so we have the amount pre-filled, and let me save and close. Now we have received the total payment for the invoice in QuickBooks. And now let me quickly head back to Zuper and let us perform a reload to see how this status and the payment amount gets changed. Yeah, so you can now see the status of the invoice is paid along with the new transaction of $175 which we collected from QuickBooks. So our integration is bidirectional. Since we have our first-class integration with payment providers like Stripe and Square, our businesses can choose to collect the payments either from Zuper or they may even collect the payments from QuickBooks. Either way, it will get reflected on the other system. Now, coming to some of the key highlights of our integration. While pushing an estimate or an invoice from Zuper to QuickBooks, in addition to the estimate and invoice, we also push the customer information and the product and service information to QuickBooks if they are not already present. So in this particular scenario, we have the customer Tanya Triple. And now let me head to QuickBooks. And search for the customer. And yeah, so we have the customer here. which was created from Zuper in the first place. Similar way, let me head back to products and services. Now we have the gold plan, which is a service, and the anti-siphon valve, which is an inventory. So as you can see, this is the service and it has all the information along with the price. And if it is an inventory, we also consider the on-hand quantity of the inventory item. So all these information gets pushed to QuickBooks as part of our integration. Yeah. So this is it for this quick demo, and thank you. Over to you, Michael.
Yeah, Sanjay, before we move on, there's a couple questions that came in from Marie Brown. One of them is, are we going to show how tax works in the demo? Not specifically in this demo, Marie, but let me explain that there is the ability to set up taxing percentages, et cetera, in the settings in the Zuper app. So each individual customer can, each individual Zuper user, I should say, can set up their own tax requirements in the settings. I would also add that we are going to shortly announce an integration with a company called Avalara, I believe is how you pronounce it. And they are a taxing jurisdiction application. And with that integration, we will be able to expand our taxing information capabilities as well. You've also asked if we can show where the two payments that were just made, that Sanjay just demoed, where they're posted in QuickBooks. I don't know that we can show exactly where they were posted, but we can show, if you can go back, Sanjay, perhaps, and show where the information in QuickBooks was updated to show that the payment was made or the payments were made. Can you do that quickly?
Yeah, sure, Michael. Just a second.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I see there that invoice is reflecting as paid in QuickBooks, right?
So the transactions can also be seen here. The first one is the payment that we obtained from Zuper for $100, and the second payment was made in QuickBooks. So we can see the number of transactions being made in this invoice as well.
Yep. Also, the question is, will an Avalara subscription be required after the integration is complete? I believe the answer to that is probably yes, but we can explore that further. And there's some more questions from Marie regarding the QuickBooks payment. What I'm going to suggest to you, so we can move on with the demo for others, is that we contact you and set up an individual meeting with you and perhaps dive a little bit deeper into the QuickBooks application and the integration. So we'll do that. We'll reach out to you and try to set something up. Thank you for your questions, everyone, by the way. That's great. So, yeah, thank you. You can go ahead and advance to the next slide, Carmen. Thank you very much. So in addition to the QuickBooks integration, we also have integrations with Xero, Sage Intacct, and Zoho Books. The integrations are very similar. There may be some slight differences across each of the platforms, but in essence, each of them allows or enables the ability to make sure that the data across both the platforms is synced, is accurate, and is synced in real time. So just to go back to the QuickBooks integration as an example, if you create an invoice in QuickBooks, that invoice is replicated automatically in Zuper. The information is precisely the same across each platform, so no matter where your team looks, they're going to see accurate, up-to-date information that is exchanged in real time between the applications. Just as an example, the same thing happens with each of these other integrations that we have developed as well. Let me also mention, and Carmen highlighted it early in the conversation, that Zuper is quite expert at developing these integrations. We have developed integrations with more than 60 other applications, which are also very relevant to field service operations, including a number of the premier CRM applications as well. So we can move on. Carmen, thank you. Sanjay has touched on payments, but we also have a very sophisticated payment processing capabilities. We are integrated with both Stripe and Square. And the majority of our customers up to this point in time choose to use Stripe. And with this integration, we are able to provide the customers with instant payment capabilities, either by providing them with a link that they can click on to make a payment, or by collecting payment actually when the technician, the field service engineer, is on site with the customer. We can store credit card information. I'll talk more about that as we go through the demo. We can collect payments from via ACH transfer from banks. Of course, we can also collect payments via cash. We can also split payments. One example would be if you give a customer a quote and you have set the system up to require a deposit on the quote. For example, let's say you want a 25% deposit on a $1,000 quote. The system will automatically create a link and allow the customer to make a payment for the quote via the link or via credit card. So that's a very automated process as well. I'm going to turn it over now to Srinam, and he is going to demonstrate how the integration with Stripe works in Zuper as well. All yours.
Thank you, Michael. Hello all. So I'll be demoing the Stripe integration. Let me quickly share my screen. So if you can see, this is one of the invoices which is generated from Zuper for the customer Richard Matthew, and the invoice total is around $848. And if we actually look at this customer's details page, we can see there are 2 cards which are available for this customer, and we can add as many cards as we want. And these are the cards which we can use to make the payments. And if you can see, there is an account details where we also show the receivables and credits. The receivables is nothing but the number of invoices which are due, and it has to be paid by the customer. So that will come under receivables. And let's say if there is any invoice which is overpaid, I'll show that. So that will come under credits. Let me jump back to the invoice details page. So when we think about Stripe, there are 2 ways of making the payments. So one is through public links. These public links can be sent to the customer directly, and the customer can actually make the payment. Or we can collect the payment on customer behalf from the admin app. We'll show that as well. So when we click on more, we can see an option for mark as paid. We can use that option, or we can use the collect due amount to collect the payment. Now let me collect a payment, like I'll make a partial payment so that the rest of the payment I'll make it through the public link. So I'll make a payment of $400 for this customer. So if we want, we can send the receipt to the customer, or we can just ignore it, and I'll just mark it as paid. So if you see, the invoice is currently marked as partially paid, and you can see the payment history where we can see the reference number as it's present here. If the customer is really interested, they can actually go to their Stripe account, and they can actually use this to actually find the real transaction which actually happened. And now if you can see, the amount paid is $400, and the pending amount is $448. Now let's quickly go through the payment link and try to collect the rest of the payment. So this is the payment link. Actually, it can be sent via mail, but now for the demo, I'll just open it in a new tab.
Sridham, while we're doing that, I see that we have a post. It looks like a poll up for people to answer. So if you're seeing that poll that says which specific QuickBooks functions are most important to your business, if you can answer that, and we'll give you several seconds, and then we'll post the results in a little bit. Sorry for the interruption, Srinam. You can continue.
Okay, so you want me to answer this, Michael, or will Sanjay be able to do that? Like,
No, the participants are, the audience is going to answer that.
Okay, got it.
Got it.
Okay, so here if you see, there are two ways of making this payment link payment, so that there are card payments as well as US bank accounts. The thing is, when we actually select a card and we try to input the details, we actually store the card details for our accounts, and this will be present for that specific customer. If the customer is not very much interested in actually sharing the card information, they can go ahead and choose a bank account, and they can actually make a payment with the bank account number, so that this bank account number and any details related to the bank account will not be stored from Zuper side or from Stripe side. But when it comes to card, yes, this data will be shared with us, because as we saw from the customer's details page, we already had a card details entered for this customer, and we already have this card details saved for that specific customer. So let's try making this payment using this card itself. So now if we see this invoices paid successfully, and let's go back to the invoice details page. Let's try refreshing this. So now if you see, this invoice is totally paid, and the second payment is through this payment link, and the total payment is actually made, and yes. So this is one way of doing it, and we also have Square. So I think that is not in the scope of this demo. Yeah, so this is very much with Stripe integration. Yeah, thank you. Over to you, Michael.
Yeah, one thing that I want to point out here as well, because I know there's often a concern about security with credit card information. We, Zuper, do not store credit card information within Zuper itself. The credit card, if the customer authorizes it, can be stored in Stripe. And then when a payment is, when the customer desires to make a payment, if they want to use that same credit card that they've used before, that credit card information, if the customer has allowed it to be stored in Stripe, is automatically received, and then the payment is processed against that credit card. So I just wanted to point that out. As I said, a lot of people have some concerns about security, rightfully so, about the security of their credit card information. So I just wanted to make sure people were aware of that. Before we move on, we have a question back to QuickBooks, and Sanjay, maybe you can answer this. If not, then we can get together afterwards and provide an answer to the person that asked the question. The question is, how is a deposit, like we talked about the deposits on a quote, how is that deposit posted in QuickBooks? Can you describe that?
Yeah, sure, Michael. So we also support deposits, whenever an invoice is created in Zuper, if the invoice already has a deposit, the deposit information will also be carried to QuickBooks when the invoice is pushed there. So we support that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. I hope that answers. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah,
Sanjay.
as QuickBooks supports deposits too, we have an integration of the deposits feature as well. Currently, something that we do not support is voiding a transaction made in Zuper is currently not supported, but we have plans of bringing that as well in QuickBooks integration.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Sanjay. And to the person, Brett, the question was asked by Brett Price. Brett, if that has not answered your question, please put your email address in the chat, and we will get back to you as well and to explore further. And again, thank you for your question. So we can move on now to Carmen, to financing. One of the great things that I think that Zuper has done, of course, Zuper has done a lot of great things recently, but in the recent past, one of the great things that I think we've done is created an integration with a financing tool called Wisetack. And this is very, very important and very helpful to you, especially if you're dealing with customers that are, let's say, predominantly on the small business side or the residential side, where, for example, a homeowner, just to pick an example, and I'll use myself as an example, wants to redo their bathroom, update their bathroom, then we can use our integration with Wisetack to automatically process a payment, an application for financing. That application can be pre-authorized immediately, and then finally totally authorized within 1 to 2 business days, so that the customer can know immediately if they're eligible for financing, what their monthly payment is going to be, what the interest rate is going to be, and that's all done through Zuper. So the customer does not have to go to another company outside of Zuper to ask for financing. We can handle it all inside the Zuper application. And I did that myself a few years ago, using a financing system like Wisetack to develop financing for my bathroom remodel in my previous home. So I know that's something that people often want to do. Having said that, let me turn it over now to Krishna, and Krishna will walk through a demonstration of how the financing works. Krishna.
Yeah, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thanks,
Thank
Michael.
you.
Yeah. So let me go ahead and share my screen. Right.
It's coming up now.
So
Coming up.
I hope
Got
you
it.
can see my screen now.
Yes.
Great. So yeah, good day, everyone. Happy to be on this webinar introducing Wisetack to all of you. With Wisetack consumer financing, I'm going to be showing two parts to this. One, how, even from Zuper, you can quickly sign up for Wisetack consumer financing. And the other part is once you're approved by Wisetack, how Wisetack integration kicks in and how it's automatically applied on quotes and invoices. So let's start with how in Zuper, right from the Zuper App Store, you can actually sign up for Wisetack. So you just go to the Zuper App Store here. And so this is our Zuper App Store, which has got a lot of fantastic applications. And under the accounting category, you'd see this Wisetack application. And here is where you hit Launch Wisetack. Now, once you do that, it is opening a page with a basic sign-up form, right, that allows you to submit your application for Wisetack. So it gets your legal name, your registered address, and all your contact information. So I can go ahead, and as you can see, most of the information is automatically pre-filled right from Zuper. So if you want to modify anything, you can go ahead and do that and submit for Wisetack. Now, once you go ahead and submit the form, this is how it will look like. So you can actually track your application status, and Wisetack will send you a one-time link where if they need additional information, like let's say your in bank records, your social security information, they can do that. Now, once that's done, Wisetack will take just about 2 to 3 business days, and your application will be automatically approved, which means you're eligible for consumer financing right within Zuper. Now, when that happens, Zuper automatically upgrades you to this financing module that you see on my screen, and we'll go over there in just a minute. Now, in the second part of the demo, like I mentioned, we'll see how Wisetack integration works with two of the core modules of Zuper, which is quotes and invoices. Let me go ahead and create a quote. And choosing a customer. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add, a part, and I'm also going to add a service. If you scroll slightly, you can see that the Wisetack integration came already. So with the subtotal or the total amount, you can see Wisetack automatically gives you the promotion that financing option is available. You can see the $58 per month amount, and you can see the annual percentage rate. Now, this $58 is dynamically calculated from Wisetack, and that will change with the total itself. So it is in real time that Wisetack is actually giving you, a very easy per month value that you can actually submit. Now, let me go ahead and save this particular quotation. Right. Now, here I am operating Zuper as, as a service provider here, right? Now, I have two options here. As a service provider, I can initiate something called as a pre-qualification to my customers. So you see this button on the right. So a pre-qualification is something that is actually used by the customers to know their purchasing power. So even before they go ahead and apply for a loan, they can see the maximum amount that they're actually eligible for, right? So as a service provider, I can actually initiate a pre-qualification link for my customer in this code. So I can go ahead and I can say send pre-qualification link. As you can see, the pre-qualification is a success, and you can see all the information. Now, if you want to, you can actually click this button and even share this via SMS or email to your customer as well. Now, I'm going to show you one more scenario where the end customers themselves can go ahead and apply for a pre-qualification. Now, as a business or a service provider, I am sending this quotation to my customer. Let me go ahead and send it. Now we see that the quote has been marked as sent and has been sent to the customer. Let me open my email inbox here. Right. As you can see, this is what a typical customer inbox would look like. So, they get the quote, but they also get the option of Wisetack consumer financing. So this will mostly, reduce the sticker shock, and they can go ahead and apply for the pre-qualifying themselves as well. Now, let's go back to another important area, which is the invoice. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to directly convert this quotation to an invoice over here. I am marking this quote as accepted, and I'm converting this quotation or an estimate to an invoice. Now, as you saw with the quotation, you also get the financing option from Wisetack in the invoice as well. Now, there are some cases where you may need to add additional line items in invoice, and the total also might vary. So again, this will be dynamically, calculated from Wisetack. Now, I'm going ahead and saving this invoice. Right. Now, if you see on the right here, the difference between the quote and the invoice is, with invoice, you can directly go ahead and apply for a loan. So we call it loan application. As we saw with the quote, here as a service provider, I can initiate a loan application on behalf of my customer, or the customer themselves can go ahead and apply for a loan. We'll see both the cases. So here I am going to initiate a loan application for my customer. You see that create application for financing, and you can actually enter an amount. It need not be for the full amount. Now, it's important to note that Wisetack supports consumer financing within the range of $500 till $25,000, no more, no less. Let me go ahead and submit this loan application. So you see that there is a loan application that has already been initiated on behalf of my customer. And let me also show you in a similar way how the customers themselves can go ahead and initiate a loan. So this is where I am actually sending the invoice details to the customer. Let me go back to the email box, and it says invoice for you. So here you can actually see that they got the invoice, and they also have the option to directly go ahead and apply for a loan. So they can just go ahead. And so this will be, a Wisetack portal where they can go ahead, they'll get a one-time password, they can see their loan options, and they can apply for a loan themselves. Now, the financing tab or the financing menu, right? This is the area where, the business can actually check out or review the status of all the pre-qualifications as well as the financing applications. So you can see the application, the pre-qualification that I just initiated. Now you can click on this link. Like I mentioned, if you want to quickly share this link to your customer via an SMS or an email, that's possible as well. And same case with respect to the financing applications. So if there is a case where it has been wrongly initiated, you can go ahead and cancel, and you can actually see the status of the financing applications over here. Now, to come to a close, what happens is once the loan application has been accepted by Wisetack, Wisetack will actually pay the business, that is me as a service provider, upfront within 2 to 3 business days. And based on the options that the customer has chosen, it can be, so Wisetack offers 3 months, 6 months, and 12 months. So the customers can actually pay Wisetack over time. Now, this would actually reduce sticker shock for the customers and increase cash flow for the businesses themselves. So that is the end-to-end view of Wisetack consumer financing integrated with Zuper.
Krishna, thank you very, very much. I do appreciate that. And again, I just want to emphasize, I think this is a very, very valuable addition to the Zuper family of integrations. That I believe that it's something that would be very helpful to you, especially if you're in an organization that is providing services to customers, to residential customers, and to small businesses. So Krishna, thanks again for that overview. Very, very good. So Carmen,
Great.
I believe you have a great customer story you're going to share.
We've got a couple of customer examples. Gold Medal Service. They're using all 3 accounting software and Stripe payments and the consumer financing. So super fun example here. $6 million in quotes so far. They've generated 150,000 in consumer financing. So really nice little story here. And they're, just getting all of the benefits that we talked about at the beginning, as far as like streamlining, visibility, increasing their management of their finances, and then improving the customer experience with those payments on site and consumer financing options. So that's the first story. They're an HVAC company in North America, and nice little typical kind of customer that we have. We also have R&A Industries, and they're kind of a fun example because within about 3 months, they got everything up and going and onboarded with their QuickBooks Online, and over $1 million in quotes in 3 months. So really fast ROI realized for this business, a facility maintenance business also in North America. And is there anything else to add there? Just kind of, your typical digital transformation and getting more of that management of their business and knowing where their cash flow is and everything. So if there's any questions, we can take them at the Q&A here in a minute. But yeah, that's where we're at now, Michael. So do we want to just see one last call? If there's any other questions that need to be answered on this webinar, we can take those now. Anything you see there coming in?
No, but let me add this. I know there were a few questions that came in that we didn't get to answer. I have some questions that we'll follow up on from Marie, from Scott at Relentless, and from, I hope I'm saying this correctly, Elaine at Acute Data. And I've also posted in the chat here for everyone to see. If you have any unanswered questions, please send them to me. So my email is very simple to remember, michael@zuper.co. And that's .co, not .com, just for your information. And we'll be happy to get you an answer. So feel free to forward any questions that you may have that were not already answered to me, and we'll get them taken care of.
Sounds great, Michael. Thanks. And just a reminder, we have these amazing resources to help you and your customers. We'll do the poll results in just a second here. But the Academy, so we have hundreds of how-to videos on getting started, optimizing your Zuper instance, accelerating growth, and the integrations and such. So check out the academy.zuper.co. And our YouTube channel has that and more videos. So check the YouTube channel out. At Zuper_Inc. is that channel. We're going to have some upcoming webinars, deep dives into other product areas. The next one's going to be our new enhanced mobile app with dark mode, etc. And a quick update on the Ziva generative AI alpha that we've got going. And then we've also got planned all things CRM, deep dive into HubSpot, Zoho Sprinkler, and all things CRM 2, deep dive into Zendesk Freshworks. So those are coming up. Michael, did you want to talk about the poll?
Yeah,
Looks
thank
like-
you very much for reminding me. So the poll came up quite a while ago, and thank you very much. Several of you actually, I think half or more than half of you actually answered the poll, so that's great. And the number one answer to the question, which specific QuickBooks features are most important to your business? Not surprisingly, invoicing and billing. And about a little less than 10% of you said reporting. And interestingly enough, nobody said inventory management to this particular poll, but it's very evident that because this is a finance and accounting system, that's where the majority of the emphasis and the needs are in the financing side. So thank you very much for bringing that up again, Carmen.
Sorry to interrupt you, Michael. Just a quick clarification as we were talking about QuickBooks. So, as Michael mentioned, the invoice creation happens within Zuper for QuickBooks, but any status updates or payments that are collected after the invoice is created can be in either of the systems. So, just wanted to clarify that for the attendees.
Nice.
Thank you very much.
Again, here's Michael's email if you need him. If you don't have you probably have a sales rep or a customer success or an onboarding rep, but if you don't have anybody, support@zuper.co, you can reach somebody there. And we're always adding the latest and greatest best-in-class integrations. The next one up is Avalara, so stay tuned for that. And we thank you so much for joining us. It's been a pleasure.
One last thing, Carmen, sorry to interrupt, but 2 additional questions came in.
Okay.
From Diane and from Brian that we're not going to get time to answer them today. Would you please send me your contact information and copy the question next to your contact information and send it to me in email, michael@zuper.co, and we'll get back to you with answers to your questions.